October 218 BCE. A messenger arrives at the Roman Senate with news that should be impossible. Hannibal Barca, Carthage's greatest general, has done what every Roman military strategist said could not be done. He has crossed the Alps, with an army, and with 37 war elephants. Rome's response was not panic, it was disbelief. But disbelief, as the Roman legions were about to discover, is not a defense. To understand what Hannibal did, you must understand what drove him. He was 28 years old when this campaign began, and he had been planning it his entire life. As a child, he knelt before his father Hannibal Barca, the greatest Carthaginian general of his age, and made an oath at a temple altar. He would never be a friend of Rome. His father made sure the boy understood what that meant. He took young Hannibal to Spain. He trained him. He showed him what Rome had taken from Carthage, their empire, their pride, their first Punic War. And then Hamilcar died in battle. The oath passed to the son. When Rome declared war in 218 BCE after Hannibal captured their Spanish ally Saguntum, Hannibal had his moment. Rome expected him to wait to be invaded by sea. Instead, he did something Rome never dreamed of. He decided to invade them. Hannibal's secret weapon was not a tactical innovation. It was an animal. The North African forest elephant, smaller than its modern cousin but enormous against any horse or man, had been used in Carthaginian warfare for over a century. Trained from youth by dedicated handlers called mahouts, each elephant was a lifetime partnership. The bond between mahout and elephant was personal, unbreakable, and absolutely necessary, because in battle, only that bond kept the elephant under control. The war elephant's power was threefold. It could physically smash through infantry formations. It could carry archers in a tower on its back, firing down into enemy soldiers. And above all, it terrified horses. Roman cavalry horses had never seen or smelled an elephant in their lives. The sight alone caused panic. The scent was worse, and 37 of them all at once, advancing at full charge. There was no training in the Roman world that prepared cavalry for that. There was one other detail about the mahouts. Each one carried a steel chisel and a mallet. If their elephant went berserk in battle and turned on friendly troops, the handler would drive the chisel into its skull, a mercy killing. Documented by the historian Livy, the elephants were weapons, beloved, bonded, and ultimately expendable. In February 2026, archaeologists announced the discovery of a single elephant bone in Córdoba, Spain, radiocarbon dated to the 3rd century BCE. The first physical proof that these animals existed here, that they were real, that this story is true. In May 218 BCE, Hannibal left Carthagena with 50,000 infantry, 9,000 cavalry, and 37 war elephants. The plan: march from Spain to Italy overland, through the Pyrenees, across Gaul, and over the Alps, arriving in northern Italy before Rome could position an army to stop him. It was, by any rational measure, insane. The Pyrenees crossing cost him 11,000 men who refused to continue. Gaul was a gauntlet of hostile tribes. And then they reached the Rhône, a wide, powerful river with massed Gaulish warriors on the eastern bank determined to stop them. Hannibal sent his general Hanno upstream to cross and hit them from the rear. When the Gauls broke and fled, a new problem: the elephants. Historians for centuries imagined elaborate raft systems to float them across. But Carthage had trained elephants for 100 years. They knew something the historians didn't. Elephants are exceptional swimmers. The elephants crossed the Rhône largely on their own, heads above water, trunks raised. 37 giants fording a river while armies watched in wonder. October 218 BCE. The army reached the foot of the Alps. The soldiers looked up. The peaks were already white. The path barely existed. A narrow ledge of ice and loose rock, above 1,000-foot drops with no margin for error. 50,000 men, 9,000 cavalry horses, supply trains, and 37 elephants. 15 days. That's how long Hannibal needed to cross. The cost was staggering. 12,000 infantry, 3,000 cavalry, and several elephants died. Some from falls, some from ambushes by the Allobroges mountain tribe, who rolled boulders down from above onto the column below. There were moments that tested even Hannibal's nerve. In one defile, a landslide blocked the path completely. He spent 3 days trying to find another way. Finally, he ordered his engineers to pour vinegar on the cold rock, the acid weakening it, then hammered stakes into the cracks to carve a new path by hand. On the 15th day, they reached the summit. Hannibal called the army together and pointed. Below them, for the first time, was Italy, green, open, undefended. The historians say some soldiers wept. The exhausted survivors who stood on that pass had just done something Rome had declared impossible, and below them lay the reason they had done it. December 218 BCE, the Battle of Trebia. Hannibal had rested his army in northern Italy long enough to let the elephants and troops recover. He had also recruited Gauls, ancient enemies of Rome, swelling his numbers. The Roman consul Tiberius Sempronius Longus was eager for battle. Too eager. Hannibal knew it. At dawn, he sent his Numidian light cavalry across the freezing Trebia River to provoke the Romans. Longus ordered his entire army to cross, before breakfast, into waist-high icy water in December. The Romans formed their traditional three-line formation. They had 40,000 infantry and 4,000 cavalry. Their formation was perfect. What they didn't know, Hannibal had concealed his brother Mago with 9,000 cavalry and infantry in the river vegetation on both their flanks. The Roman cavalry broke first, hit by Hannibal's superior Numidian and Iberian horsemen. Then the flanks arrived, 9,000 men erupting from hiding on both sides simultaneously. The elephants drove directly into the Roman cavalry's horses. 30,000 Romans died in the Trebia, or drowned trying to flee across it. Only the Roman center, 10,000 men, fought their way out and escaped to Placentia. They had been in position, in formation, with superior numbers, and Hannibal had destroyed them anyway. Not with strength, with deception. After Trebia, Hannibal continued south. Lake Trasimene, Cannae, where he destroyed another Roman army of 70,000 men, the worst single-day loss in Roman history. But the elephants were dying. One by one, through the Italian winter of 217 BCE, they succumbed. Not to Roman weapons. They had proven nearly invulnerable in the field. But the Italian climate was lethal, too cold, too wet, too different from the warm savannas and forests of North Africa. Their immune systems, their skin, their lungs, all failed in the alien environment. By 216, 36 of the 37 were dead. One survived. Historians believe his name was Surus, from the Semitic word for Syria, suggesting he may have come from there. He was Hannibal's personal mount. Hannibal rode Surus across the Apennines in a winter storm. Surus was present at Cannae. He was the last. When Surus eventually died, the records don't say exactly when, the war elephant's role in the Italian campaign ended. Hannibal remained in Italy for 13 more years. He never brought new elephants. He never replaced them. The greatest strategic surprise of the campaign, a surprise that only worked once when the Romans had never seen elephants and their horses had never smelled one, was gone. In 202 BCE, Rome finally defeated Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in North Africa, by which time Rome had learned to use elephants of their own and knew how to counter them. Hannibal fled into exile. He died in 183 BCE in Bithynia, what is now Turkey, poisoned by his own hand rather than surrender to Rome. He had spent 37 years fighting the most powerful state in the world. He never lost a single major battle on Italian soil. And yet, Carthage was destroyed anyway in 146 BCE, leveled by Rome. salted, according to legend, so nothing would ever grow there again. We know about the war elephants today from 3 sources: the writings of Polybius and Livy, who researched the campaign, a handful of Carthaginian coins stamped with the image of an elephant, and now, one bone found in Córdoba, Spain. Radiocarbon dated to the 3rd century BCE. One bone. The physical proof of 37 animals who crossed the most difficult terrain in the ancient world, who terrified the horses of Rome, who froze to death in Italian winters, who were ridden by handlers who had bonded with them for life, and who carried in their bodies a chisel that would be used to kill them if they became dangerous. They were not weapons. They were not machines. They were living creatures, caught in the ambitions of the most brilliant general in ancient history. They crossed the Alps. That is not mythology. That happened. And somehow, 2,200 years later, it still matters that we know it.